Beaverton. Pacific Northwest suburban living. A good place to raise children with better schools, beautiful parkland, tranquility. One of the city's favored destinations is the local public library. Beaverton City Library is located on the corner of 5th and Hall, across from the farmers market. A grand tree is guarding the entrance and provides shade for sleepy readers. It's 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Library staff is at hand and ready. The doors open and people are pouring in.
El cuerpo, saca todo el cuerpo, mete todo el cuerpo y sacúdelo, sacúdelo.
I'm Morgan. I'm Adri. This is Maggie. Say hi, Max. Well, we are raising Maggie bilingual, and she really loves story hour. There's a good chance to play and hear stories told by somebody else, right, Mag? Yeah. And singing. The singing is the best part.
Baila loki poki, date una vuelta y así se bailará. Muy bien, bravo!
I speak Spanish at home. Yeah, my mom's from Veracruz, Mexico, and so we are speaking Spanish with Mags as much as possible. Yeah, a ver, aquí, en los ojitos. Ay, qué cosa más bonita.
So my name is Araceli Acosta Godinez, and I have been working in libraries for just about over 11 years. So I actually started when I was a teen as a volunteer. It's one of the best things I've ever chosen to do, and I really, really love it. So, yeah, and now I graduate from library school in like 10 months. I love that I was raised bilingually, and families will come in here and ask me, hey, like, how is it that you learned how to speak Spanish? Like, what did your parents do? Because we're trying to teach our kiddos, but because they're immersed in such a, world where it's primarily English, like that can be difficult. And then I just told them, I don't really know exactly how my parents did it, but my mom always spoke Spanish to me. So did my dad. And then being around my extended family, I think that's really what cemented it all, because I had to communicate with them in Spanish, and it was fun to do that. It was fun to speak to them in Spanish because of that culture.
Myra Siegel is retired. She comes often to the library.
I love languages. I love learning languages. And so I look for books that are grammar books in various subjects or easy reading books in languages that I'm pursuing. My main one right now is Yiddish. When I was a little girl, my parents of blessed memory, may they rest in well-deserved shalom, they spoke Yiddish as a secret language when they wanted to talk about things they didn't want me and my siblings to know about. And they also used it to speak to refugees from Europe. Parents wanted their children to be very American and I think a lot of them wanted to leave the old memories behind. My parents were born in America, but 3 of the 4 grandparents were born in Europe and fled, I'm sure. Again, nobody talked about it, but I'm sure they fled pogroms, etc. And I kicked myself for many, 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 many years when I grew up that I didn't learn it. And the resources were gone. The people who spoke it were either gone or not well. And so I finally decided I want to learn this wonderful language. So I picked up a beginning grammar book and started reading. And even though I don't hear words that the people said, I hear an echo of people talking. It brings back wonderful feelings.
Myra lives in walking distance from the library. Like many other patrons, Myra comes to the library to use the internet.
I often come because I don't have internet at home, so I come to the library several times a week and use the internet, which I really appreciate. You can't have too much knowledge. On the other hand, sometimes it gets to be too much in the sense of it's very depressing, it's very scary, it's very, not that you have to hide your head, but I mean it's overwhelming. That's the word I want.
Is your card number under your name?
Norma is in her 80s, but not yet retired.
You have that card forever. How about email?
In another life, she was an actress in San Francisco. She got her master's in library science at the age of 72.
I decided that I wasn't going to have enough money to live on should I ever get old. I had this illusion I was never going to get old. I was going to stay 18. But something struck me, looking in a mirror probably. I thought I'd saved enough so that my Social Security accumulatively would enable me. So I moved to Bend, Oregon for about 3 years, where I found out that I didn't have enough money to live on. And I got the idea from volunteering in a library, that it would be interesting to work in a library, but I had to get a master's degree in library science. So I signed up, borrowed the money from the government, and started on that degree. So I ended up here in Portland, finishing my degree.
Norma is a reference librarian. She provides the patrons with direction to library materials and advice on library collections and services. I am asking Norma, who decides what books are acquired by the library?
We ask the patrons to make suggestions. If people borrow books through interlibrary loans from other library systems, often enough, instead of doing a loan, we will buy the book. So our patrons, what they want, we listen to. The second thing is every librarian who's a reference librarian, they have a certain category of book that they buy. And they're responsible, and they have a budget. They have to read reviews, of course, and they have to buy what they feel our library is short on. So they have a great deal of responsibility.
When a library buys a book, a new bibliographic record is created by the technical services.
So when someone walks through the door, they can go to the computer and find it. And the other half of what we do is actually physically change the book so it looks like a library book. You would be amazed at how number of stickers and tags are on a library book. And so you will have the spine label, that's important, the barcode, that's the unique number that shows if the book is available or not. They add stickers, especially for kids' books, if it's about Halloween, or if it's about cowboys, or if it's about ABCs. And you do the same thing with adult books. You have mysteries and science fiction and westerns and local authors. So those are all represented by stickers. I mean, it's all providing information that is a visual and easily available way for people when they're just going down the shelf. They like a visual representations. People that like books as physical objects, it hurts their soul when they see the process, but it makes them more shareable.
New books are purchased all the time, and in order to make space, the library has to weed out its collection. Some multiple copies are sold in the library bookstore, some are donated or recycled. During this process, the library is mindful of what is available in its affiliated library system.
Okay, so this room is where books, after they've been returned by the users, they have to be checked in and put back on the shelves. Here at Beaverton, they probably return at least, I would say, probably 4,000 or 5,000 things a day. Books, DVDs, games. They unload the books out of the bins or out of the caskets onto this conveyor belt. The conveyor belt also has a ramp from the outside, so you can return books through a book drop on the outside. And what happens is they have a tag inside. It's a radio frequency ID that conveys the barcode number to the computer, and it checks the book in. Then the book is sent along this conveyor belt and it gets put into a trolley based on what type of book it is. Then someone, because we're not quite in the robot age, has to physically take it out of the trolley and put it on the carts. These carts are going to be the carts that are actually pushed out onto the library floor. These are the last home for the books before the shelves. I'm sure sometimes it feels like all we do is organize and reorganize and reorganize, but when you're dealing with this many things, every little step helps.
My name is Wahiba. I'm Rania's mom. Actually, she is a very sweet, nice girl. That's what all moms say about the children, for sure. And she loves to read. And sometimes she doesn't listen, but it's a normal for her age.
This is the page that I'm on. But if you want to see this, you can. I think I got every single book they have here in the library. But if there's more books, I'm gonna go find them and try to read every single book. Like how I read. What did I read every single book?
So what are you gonna accomplish if you read every single book?
I'm just gonna have a really smart brain, and I'll be the most smartest in my class. Because I heard reading can make your brain exercise, it's kind of like a muscle. It's gonna be like working hard to make itself bigger. But if you do not do anything to it, you're just gonna make it weaker.
For sure, the library is very important. Yeah, for sure. To help the kids access to the books, because now with the iPad and I don't want them to stay all day watching or doing such. So having access to the books is very, very, very good and very helpful for all of us, for grown-ups or for children, for anybody.
It's not as many.
In the teen room, we meet Brenda, who is a reference assistant for youth services, and two friends, Andreas and Andrew.
I think we're lucky that we have our own teen area. I've worked at a lot of libraries that don't. They just sort of have a teen section in the middle of an adult section, and I've really seen that suffer in terms of teens having a place where they can come and hang out and socialize and play video games and, do homework together.
Right now,
we do. Sometimes they go on Steam or Phantom Forces. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a Roblox game. It's like a shooting game.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll go on Steam, play a couple games on there.
Yeah.
Do you play? I'm sorry, I don't know anything about video games, so I might ask you stupid questions.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Do you play against each other?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Sometimes. on this game. If I'm on a red team, I shoot the blue team.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's basically how it works. It's like team deathmatch. Kill one person from the opposite team.
I am asking the boys what kind of books they would like to read in school.
That's tough because I was forced to read a lot of books that I didn't like. So
in school.
yeah.
Remember Andre the Giant at school? You said you liked that book?
Yeah, that was good. Well, first of all, I wouldn't tell them to put me any more Shakespeare because I'm not really interested in that.
Neither am I.
I don't know, just more like interesting books, you know. I don't want to, read all these books. I mean, of course they're important for like historical purposes, but like some of these books are just like not like interesting to me. But I don't know, like when I read a book, it has to like appeal to me like as soon as I read it, or else I'm just not gonna get into it.
So many good things in there. So there's a lot of really topical books that have come out recently. The Hate You Give being one of them, about police brutality against young Black kids. There's a lot of multicultural stuff coming out that is super great. I mean, I feel like before the market was really saturated with just like telling stories about white teens, and now I feel like there's a lot more diversity in sexualities that are being showcased and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really great. There's a lot of debate about like good literature versus bad literature, but as a librarian, I think any literature is good literature if you're reading and if you're engaged with it. I know graphic novels are a really popular thing, and manga. I get a lot of teens coming in and checking out like huge stacks of manga that they just go through so quickly, and I think that's super great.
I know there are some graphic novels that are highly regarded and considered pretty high quality for that genre. And actually, for one of my reading groups, we're going to read one in a few months. But usually, when I see them, I just go, it's just cartoons, It's literature in the form of a cartoon, of a comic book for people who don't have the brain span to read the real book.
We are at the house of Mike Green, talking about the future of reading.
One thing that makes me nervous about the future of books and literature, I've heard tales from high school English teachers that students in 11th and 12th grade don't have the attention span to read a long novel anymore. So if you have this whole generation of people growing up who can't read a long book, thousands of years of literature, these amazing works over these centuries that people have always read, The Three Musketeers and Don Quixote and all these famous, they're so rewarding, but yet no one's going to read them anymore. A lot of things don't come easy. A lot of things that are very rewarding don't come easy. And it's like you've got to stick with it. A lot of things have this kind of hurdle, and if you can stick with it long enough to overcome this hurdle, all of a sudden this incredible, rich experience opens up to you.
Mike is a retired science teacher and a regular at one of the library's book clubs, Recommended Reads.
I think I started in September of 2016, and I've been coming ever since, and I really enjoy it. Now I've gotten to know the people, and besides, just the social aspect of it and kind of camaraderie, and you've got this group of people who really enjoy reading the way you do. I think it's just really interesting to get other viewpoints. And many, many times someone will bring up some point that I never realized that, or I didn't realize that, or consider that, or that never occurred to me.
I have no male children. I have 2 girls, but it doesn't matter. If anything like this happened to either of them,
Mike has tried a Kindle, but did not like the experience.
I just, there's something emotionally comfortable about a physical book in your lap that you're reading, rather than reading off the screen.
Down a cold chute, and he got the dirtiest of all. In fact, he changed.
Glenn is the newly appointed director of Beaverton Library.
I don't think that print is going away anytime soon, or if at all. I don't foresee that happening. Instead, I think what libraries need to continue doing is to find that sweet spot between investiture in printed resources and digital resources. It's not that people are no longer reading books. They may just be reading them in a different format, which happens to include print and digital in the form of an electronic book and increasingly audiobooks.
We have two of these. Yeah, I already did. Typed it on the prints.
In the past, libraries used to be repositories of knowledge. Today, Beaverton Library is that and much more. The events calendar shows citizenship classes, help with homework, story time, scavenger hunt, reading to the dogs, a job fair.
But the other thing you have in a public library is you have people who come into a public library to use the bathrooms because they have no other place to be, because they're homeless, because they live in a home for mentally disabled people and they have to have outings and there's no money to help these people. These people have different needs. They're looking for respect. They just want you to treat them with respect.
The fact of the matter is that the library is a place where a lot of folks who are experiencing homelessness and substance abuse and mental health issues come. So toward that end, there's a very powerful argument for meeting folks where they are.
Beaverton Library is partnering with Community Action, a social services organization, to provide referral services to people in need.
Community Connect organization. And
David is behind on his rent and threatened with eviction.
We thought that he would be getting his payments beginning of December.
And there's a lot of amazing families that are really down, in their situation, but they try hard because they have a family and they make sacrifices, and eventually, they get out of it and start becoming more, have a more stable life for themselves and their families. Because the gentleman right here is, he could become homeless. So hopefully we'll be able to help him. Yeah, but when you give to someone that needs help, it's a blessing.
Since the founding of our country, the ability to access free information has become a core ideal of what it means to be an American citizen. The public library system is where we first engage with local community and understand the value of democracy. Public libraries continually adapt their strategies to meet the changing needs of the public. Public libraries place public benefit at the center of their work. And for many of us, the fondest childhood memories revolve around a library card.
Orange gave Pip a balloon, and he's too small, and he's not strong enough, so he fights all of the air with the balloon.
I don't even remember when I first came to the library. It kind of was just like, I always went to the library. I don't even remember the first time. And my mom took us there to get some books, lots of picture books. I love picture books, and kind of just going up and down the aisle and seeing any kind of books that I liked. And then whenever we left, we always had this huge stack of books, and we were all carrying them and have these plastic bags, trying to get them in the car. And even right when we got in the car, we would just me and my sister would open our books and just start reading and looking at the pictures.